Your book, your story, your journey. Rightcoach.ie.
Welcome, and tonight we are speaking with Carl Moloney, who is an author. And Carl, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Dee. I'd love to tell you. I am 59 and I live alone with my dog. I have my dog here. Um, I live in Tipperary town. I love my life. Um, I get involved in a lot of things in the town when I can, and I try to keep as occupied as possible
Yeah,
because the times we're living in are quite hard, and it's hard, to get out there and meet people. It's very easy to stay at home, and so I'm a reflexologist by trade, and I really enjoy that.
yeah, and I often meet you around the place for years. And I suppose the next question I know the answer to, and it's how
Mm.
did you find out about Carl and the right coach?
Well, it's so funny because it's like serendipity. When you're looking for something, you're questioning yourself. And for a long time, I had the idea of writing a book. It wasn't just writing a book. I was tipping away at writing poems and writing things down and thinking about my life for a long, long time. But I knew that I couldn't, like it. I write in stream of conscious, and I expected the reader to be able to read that. Nobody can read that, and so I needed help. Excuse me. And I had thought about a writing coach, but I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
And I did make a bit of a mistake once by ringing a number, and they actually lived around the corner from me, and I didn't want them in the house, and they came into the house. But anyway, that's another story. So I met you in a car park. That sounds dodgy, but it's not because we've
No.
been shopping.
Yeah.
And I tend to meet you in car parks all the time. So I mentioned it to you, and you said Carl is a coach writer, and I found that very interesting. It's difficult when there was a friendship between you and me, or involving him in that, and the boundaries that are involved in that. And I rang him, and of course we had to be not compatible as such, but not at each other's throats either, and to be on the same page. Pardon the pun. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I gave him a ring.
Yeah. And how long ago was
I
that?
actually had met him before with you in a car park,
Yeah, I know.
the car park club, and he had explained that he was in Sunyata, and I had gone up to meditate in Sunyata as well, so we had a little bit in common.
Yeah, the Buddhist Center in Clare. Yeah. So I, s- I suppose you met him, you called him. How long ago is that? How long are you on this process now?
It's 2.5 years. I'm not sure. I think it
Yeah.
could be 2 years. We'll
Yeah.
say 2 years.
And I know you've taken a break as well. It's not all the
I
time.
have taken months off because sometimes it's difficult to write as the writer if you're writing about something that's very emotional to you,
Yeah.
and you take time off to
You,
process that. If you're processing it and writing about it, you become the writer, the detached writer, and then you become the child that's the story is about. Very hard to balance that because you need to walk away from it at times.
yeah, and I suppose that's why Carl sees it as writing to heal. He's holding that space for you to go through that process as well. Tell me a little bit about how that process helped you, where you were, where you are now.
When we started off, um, I didn't know whether I'd get on with Carl,
Yeah,
and he didn't know. It had to be a mutual thing. We had to feel, the connection, or if that's the way you want to put it.
and trust.
And I really felt it. Um, I know this is probably going to sound over the top, but I find him amazing at what he does.
Hmm.
I can drift. I can be in my head. I want it down. I wanted this. Carl has the fantastic ability to bring me back.
Yeah.
And to bring me back to a structured arena where I can understand what I'm writing. He knows what I'm writing. And it gives me a grounding that I can't give myself because I'm emotionally involved.
Yeah.
And he gives me the platform and the freedom. And we've butted heads. And I've gone, no, 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 no. And I have tendencies to procrastinate. I will drift off. I will go and make a cup of tea instead of sitting down and doing it. I'm just frustrated. But he has that amazing calming effect on me, which no other man has.
Yeah. But that's
This
fantastic.
benefit.
Yeah.
But he has that grounding. You know,
Is
if
it
anybody had a vocation in life, this is his vocation because he's brilliant at it. You know,
is it that he holds that safe space for you?
it's a safe space as well as a grounding.
Yeah.
I need that is something I need, and that's an individual thing. When you're looking at masses of writing that you've done, you don't know where to put it, and then I'm the opposite. I'm a contradiction of myself, and I think he understands the contradiction because I'll have all the chapters named. I know what's to go in there, that it's getting it in there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I know what I'm doing, but it's like he's my little organization tool in a sense.
Yes.
But words it, will help me to word it, maybe to see it in a different way. And he's very gentle that way because he knows I'll eat him. I'll jump down his throat. So he's very gentle with me to kind of bring me along that path.
Well, I know he's
I'm not that.
Yeah, I know he said to even to me, it's like if you're the author, you're the one in charge. So, it comes back to you and where you want it and how you want it to look as well.
Of course. And he always says that to me. It's your book.
Yeah.
It's yours. But if it was my book and if it was left to me,
yeah,
it would be stream of conscious.
Yes.
And he's just so helpful in that area. And that's where I find that I really need it.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I'm writing in a very emotional, traumatic book.
You are.
Writing to heal in a certain way.
Yeah.
But I'm also realistic because as far as I'm concerned, we're on a constant journey of healing. It's never really healed because anything can trigger it, including writing.
Yes.
And it's staying on that track.
Mm.
And Carl keeps me on that track because there are days and there are weeks where I'm pulling my hair out and I say, I can't face it. I can't face Carl. I can't face it. I can't face it. And I go on for the 2 hours or whatever, an hour and a half, and I come off it and I feel elated. I feel, oh my God, I got it done. Yeah. It's done. It's out.
Mm.
And
I'm witnessed.
And, I think I gave last summer not doing this, but writing stuff myself. But I found I was writing. I was repeating stories. I just couldn't get them out. Yeah. And that's where this is it's so grounding. And, I would recommend him to anybody.
Brilliant.
That's going to go on this journey.
Yeah.
It's not an easy journey.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're writing about.
Exactly. I mean, some people throw a book together in a weekend or a week.
Yeah.
This is very different.
And I'm sure if I went to the top of a mountain and nothing else to do, I'd have to do it. But the trauma involved in writing about a traumatic childhood, you have to take that little girl on the journey with you.
Yeah.
And fortunately, because we're all on a learning process, Carl has to meet that child sometimes when I'm going, no, I can't do that. And that's the child in me.
Yeah.
And he has to meet that child with me. And that can be nerve-wracking to leave yourself raw and to leave bear all of your trauma to somebody. I would hand him that knowing that he's safe hands to hand it to,
Yeah.
because he treasures it and it's completely and utterly private.
Yeah, exactly, which is so important.
And that is so important for me because I don't open up to everybody.
Exactly. And that's where the trust comes in, the getting to know, building the relationship, and then
Yeah.
creating the masterpiece, shall we call it? Yeah. And your
Yeah.
masterpiece, tell me, I I think you said you had a name for it.
I have a name for it. It's called, it's an incident. It's my first memory of trauma.
Mm,
And I think it goes back to when I was 4 or 5, and I didn't feel my trauma until I was 54, or realize it was trauma until I was 54. And it was an incident I had. And it was the day the name of the book is The Cat That Got My Tongue. And it was the day the cat got my tongue,
okay.
and which turned me into, and I often find it funny, I listen to people talking to their children, or they'll turn around to them and say, oh, you're terrible, sulky. I would have been known as a sulky child, but I wasn't. I was a traumatized child, and we didn't have a name for it back then.
Yeah.
So that was my first memory of my trauma. And I named the book after that day. I
Oh,
also wrote a poem to go with it.
very good.
And sometimes you look back at that poem, and you look back and the emotion involved in it, and you look back at the little girl,
Mm,
and you do feel very sad, and you have to realize you have to get the tools to be able to deal with that, especially about writing it.
yeah.
And it's about the journey I've had along the way, and it's coming from a dysfunctional family. And I think to take the step to be able to write that in your truth, because everybody in the family gets a different take on their family.
Yeah.
So I'm just writing it from my perspective. And that's the journey I'm on. And I wouldn't do it. And I would recommend Carl, and I wouldn't do it with anybody else.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Tell me, where are you at? And are you going to publish? Are you going to self-publish? Has that conversation even came into it?
I'm on the first draft. I'm still getting things together because it is difficult to write, and I am walking away from it and I'm going back to it. I will look for a publisher. I won't self-publish. I'm going old school.
And that's okay. That's
um,
good. Yeah.
I'm going to pound the publishing house.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And if it's never taken up, it's my testimony.
Yes, exactly. Your truth.
It's my legacy to leave.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I will pound the publishing houses. So no problem with
A
that.
word of warning out there. Is there anything else you would like to say before we leave it, Carl?
It's been a pleasure to work with Carl. And if anybody is nervous or they don't know what to do, because I was a very confused person when I met you in the car park. I'll see you in the car park tomorrow, okay? But I was very confused, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And it was just the worlds came together, and this name was given to me, and I haven't looked back since. And I wish him well with his writing coach, because he's brilliant at it.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing I ever did.
Fantastic. And I am wishing you the best of luck in finishing the book, getting it edited, and pounding those doors and
Yeah, I
getting it
will. Yeah, I
out.
have no problem doing that. None whatsoever.
Yeah. So
And
thank
see
you.
where it goes.
Excellent. I look forward to it. And, I can't imagine what it's like to actually get the book printed and feeling it in your hands and what that is going to bring up. Um,
Yeah, up through the years reading books. I love the book in my hand. But reading books and people's stories, and all those adventures, and it's all in a book. A book is everything. It can take you anywhere. You may never leave your house. It can take you everywhere.
I love that. We will leave it there. Thank you, Carl.
Okay, thank you, Dee.
Bye bye.
Your book, your story, your journey. Rightcoach.ie